What's up, welcome back again to another YouTube video. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to find profitable products to sell on Amazon. This will strictly be online arbitrage, but before we get into it, I need to talk about the entire process that I go through to find profitable products to sell on Amazon. And the three steps are qualifying a lead, storing the lead, and then buying the leads. All right, so let's get into the first step of qualifying a lead. So I use three softwares for this. You don't need all three, you just need one single software, and that is going to be Keepa. But the three softwares that I'm going to be using are SellerAmp, Keepa, and Profit Seeker Pro. All right, so next, the strategy I'm going to be using is storefront stalking, or sometimes called reverse sourcing. So there are many strategies and there's many apps that you can use to help you find profitable products. But it is important that you stick to one strategy and get good at it. Oftentimes, newbies will try one strategy that actually works, but their skills aren't developed in finding profitable leads. So they'll just hop from one strategy to another strategy and end up not finding anything. These are also the same people who claim that Amazon is too saturated, but the real issue is that they're not looking at enough products and skill issue.
So now let's begin the sourcing part. The first step when storefront stocking is you need sellers to stock. The way I like to get this is to use one profitable lead or ASIN. I call this the seed listing. For this example, we'll be using this ASIN for my seed listing. Now what I will do is I'll grab all the FBA sellers in this listing and dump them into Keepa Product Finder. Next, we're going to filter out what we want to see. I like to keep my filters somewhat broad, so here's what I like to use. All right, so we are on the Keepa site now. Here's where we're gonna go. We're gonna go to Data. We're gonna do Product Finder, and then we're gonna scroll down to where it says Sellers, which is right here, Seller IDs. So I already have all of the sellers from that listing copied, so I'm gonna paste them all here. So if you have multiple sellers that are on the listing, you're gonna put their seller ID and you're gonna separate it by a comma. I'm gonna have this blanked out because I don't want to put anybody's storefront on blast. So bought in the past month, we're gonna put that to a minimum of 50. I will show why later why this number is 50 and where it shows up on an Amazon listing and the Keepa chart. Next, we're going to go to count of live FBA offers right here. I like to usually set this to a minimum of 3 to avoid any private label products. Now let's go over to FBA price for third party right here. We're going to set all of these a minimum of $9.50. We got 30, 90, 180, and then we're going to do 365. We're not going to mess with these other filters on the side here. So why I set this to a minimum of 950, for me, the level that I'm at is 950 is a sweet spot for net profit on products. Anything lower is usually only profiting like a few cents, so I don't really like to waste my time on that. Next, we're going to go over to categories. So right here, root category, we're going to change it to is none of. So this will be different for everyone because some people may like to sell clothing, toys, or video games. This will be the filter you have to edit for yourself depending on what categories you are allowed to sell and what categories you are like, or what categories you like. So I am going to do that for myself. So I don't like selling toys or games. I'm not even allowed to sell that anyways. Let's see, video games. We'll do clothing and shoes and jewelry. I don't really like selling beauty and personal care products. What else? I think that's pretty much it. Toys, games, clothing, CDs and vinyl. We're left with 68. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. That's the main categories that usually I'm restricted in and I'm not allowed to sell in. So now we're left with 68 products, and now we are going to find products. And here is our lead to source or to look at to find profitable products. All right, before we get into sourcing a product, we need to figure out what data points we need for qualifying the lead. So to figure this out, I'm going to break this down into a few requirements. You do not need to make this thing difficult. Product research is a numbers game. The faster you go through products, the higher chance you have at finding a profitable lead. Here are the qualifying requirements. Determine if it will sell. Am I allowed to sell it, and is it safe? And price. Let's go into determining if it will sell. I look at two different data points for this. First, does it have the 50 plus sold in the past month, which it does right here. 50 plus bought in the past month. The higher this number, the better. This only triggers at 50. That's why in the filter of the bought in the past month, we have to set it to 50 because I want to see listings like this. Next, we're going to head into data and offers. And also if it didn't show here, or it shows here, and also the 50 plus shows up here at the bottom, this yellow line right here. That's that minimum of 50 bought. And next, we're going to go into data, and we're going to go into offers. All right, so for here, I want to see other FBA sellers making sales too, because it will give me confidence that if other sellers are making sales, maybe I can come in and make sales too. When looking at other sellers, you want to see the sales in the past 30 days. So right here, sales 30 days. So there's sales here. So a total of 56 sold in the past 30 days. And then lifetime sold on this listing is 1,734. You also want to check their stock count and make sure it's a stair step going down, because this data isn't 100% correct. It will trigger a seller making sales when their product are getting FC transferred. The way you can check this, if it's probably an FC transfer, is by looking at their stock level and it goes from 10 and up available and shoots down to 1. This could potentially be an FC transfer. Also, the first seen on the listing data point, if they are on here for like a month or two, it's probably an FC transfer. Once these two data points look good to me, the first step is done, and now we go into the next step. So here, see this guy, he goes from 5 and it shoots down to like 3. This could potentially be an FC transfer. And if you look at his first scene, which is right here, 13 days ago, that is probably an FC transfer. Let's look again. So this guy is at 11 in stock, shoots down to 7. So from December 11th to, was it, or 12th to like 14, he goes from 11 to 7. So in 2 days, he probably could have made sales to go down to 11. There's not really much volume on this one. The minimum of 56, so it's mixed in. It's also mixed in with FBM sellers sales too. So the bulk of it looks like it's coming from FBM sellers. This guy here, he just now came on because you can see his price history it starts at December, so he just now hopped onto here. And look, first seen 19 days ago. All right, so the next step is, am I allowed to sell it, and is it safe? Are you approved to sell this brand and category? If yes, then you move to figuring out if this listing has been hit with an IP complaint before, and now more recently, if the brand field is listed correctly. Let's look into the seller count on the Kiba chart here. So what we're looking for here is, has there been any recent drops where like the seller count goes from like 20 something to like 1? So let's look at a year review. So I don't see anywhere near here where like the seller completely drops down to 1. It looks like a stair step down. So it looks like people are selling out. It goes steady. New offers are coming in. And then some sellers are selling out here. It's going up, and sellers are selling out and it's going down. So it's going back and forth. There's not any evidence that people are getting hit with an IP complaint and getting kicked off of the listing. So I want to emphasize on maybe safe to sell. you're not guaranteed safe on any listing. A brand can legit come in at any time to kick you off and claim that your products are inauthentic. But yeah, just want to make that clear. You're not always guaranteed safe. You're maybe safe. All right, now so let's look at the brand field right here. So back then, when sellers were not allowed to sell certain brands, they would create their own listings and put anything in the brand field and then list their unapproved product on Amazon. Amazon is slowly cracking down on these listings. These usually popped up as suspected IP complaints in your seller health dashboard. If you end up getting caught with one of these caught selling on one of these listings, these usually show up as having no impact on your account health. But if you get unlucky and get a section 3 while you're on one of these listings in your store and they tell you to prove authenticity of your product and choose one of these listings as one of those, then you are out of luck because the brand don't match for what's pictured. So clearly this is Mainstays. If you look at the brand, this thing says Friendship Shop. So whatever seller is named Friendship Shop most likely either created this or in the brand field he or she for some reason put Friendship Shop. So this would not be a listing to hop on at all. Even though it's profitable, it would not. This could potentially screw up your account. All right, so if the brand is correct, then we go on to the final step, which is going to be price. So we're going to pretend that this brand is correct and it says Mainstays. So we're going to move on to the price metric. So when you're sourcing products, you got to make sure the numbers work out. The minimum profit I will take is $1. For your price, you do not need to try to hit home runs all the time, like $7 and up profit. Those will come when you show up every day to do product research. There are more $2 or $3 profitable products than there are $7 and up. You build a handful of these $2 to $3 profits, they stack up month over month. You can build a profitable business with these types of products. Ignore the stuff you see on social media about people finding these $15 plus profit items that sell like 10,000 a month. Just focus on yourself and your business, or this is your side hustle. All right, so the next step is storing our qualified leads. So the software I use for this is called 3P Mercury. You do not need to use the software if you're first starting out. The software is also expensive, so if you're first starting out, you're better off spending that money on products. And this software right here will not make you profitable immediately, especially if you do not have any leads to even buy from. So you can use a normal Google Sheet to store your leads. This is what I used for 2 years until I started to grow. So here's the Google Sheet that I used for 2 years. So you just have ASIN, the name of the Amazon listing, have the supplier link, and then the Amazon listing, at my cost, sell price, and then potential profit. And then here on the other like spots, these are just like seller notes to myself. Like if it's a multi-pack, I put that it is a 2-pack, and if I'm using any discounts or gift cards to make this item profitable, then I put that in the notes. So all this is going to be like blurred out, but that's pretty much what this all shows, because all the stuff that's on this list is moved into 3P Mercury. So I'm not going to give out like free leads. So now the final step is buying your leads. So if you have consistently show up every single day to do product research, you should slowly be growing your list of ASINs to buy from. All you need to do is click the links and check and see if the prices have held up. If they have held up, then you proceed with a test purchase of 3 to 5 units. If not, then you move on to your next lead. And if you run out of leads to buy, then you just repeat the process of qualifying leads. And yeah, the cycle repeats.
All right, so that's pretty much my entire system on finding profitable products to sell on Amazon. In part 2, I'm going to be walking through my thoughts when I'm looking at these products. We will be sourcing the list that I just created. So if you're new here and you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, do me a favor and click that subscribe button. And if you have found this information helpful to you, do me a favor and click that like button. And that's pretty much it for this one, and I will see you in the next one.